Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Renee. Today we are going to be making and canning this amazing Thai coconut squash soup. This recipe comes from the all-new Bald Book of Canning and Preserving on page 284. Now I have to be honest with you, I have flipped through this recipe book numerous times. It's got lots of pretty pictures. I have seen this and I thought, that looks good, but I'm skeptical because it looks really good, but does it taste as good as it looks? And I did a little search online and on YouTube to see if anybody had made this and could provide a testimony that this recipe is good and they like it. Couldn't find a single one. Now maybe you've made this and you could say, oh, I make this all the time. But I couldn't find anybody saying they've made this, it's tried and true. So yeah, I was a little skeptical, but you know what? I had all this acorn squash and I thought, I'm just gonna go for it. So let me tell you this, I tested the recipe and it is amazing. I highly recommend it. So if you have this cookbook, please go get it, earmark this page and try this recipe out. So today we are going to be making and canning this soup, and then at the end of the video, I will show you how we'll open it up and how I will serve it. All right, let's talk about our rating system, right? How many spoons would this recipe get? So remember, 1 is low and 5 is high. All right, so let's start out with healthy fuel. This recipe is veggie powered, lots of clean ingredients packed with dense nutrients. I'd give this recipe a 4. If you want to give it a protein boost, you can always add some chickpeas or chicken either while you're canning or add it to the soup later. Let's see, yum factor, definitely a 5. So the Thai chilies and fresh ginger really balance out the sweet coconut milk. And when you finish it with fresh lime and cilantro, it really lifts the flavor and brightens the dish. Budget friendly, I'd say this is probably a 3.5 because I did have to buy the lemongrass at the store and it was about $2.25 for just a little clamshell with 2 little lemongrass stalks in it. So to me that seemed kind of expensive. Now, side note, if any of you are gardeners and you have grown your own lemongrass, would you please leave some tips down below? I'm thinking about adding it to my garden, so let me know how that works for you. All right, let's see, time saving. Because I am pressure canning this, it does take some time for processing. So I usually estimate about 3 to 4 hours in the kitchen. So there's the time to prep it and then get it loaded in the canner. But once it's in the canner, I can be doing other things. So I did this in quarts and it was 90 minutes. So it's not like I was actively sitting here watching this pot. I was cleaning the kitchen, I was doing something else. So I still had to stay nearby, right? And also, so even though maybe it's a 2 for that part because it's time consuming, but because I'm making this in bulk, so today I'm making 7 quarts, so I'm spending 3 to 4 hours-ish, but I have 7 meals on my pantry shelf, so it's gonna save me so much time later. So it's 2 today, 5 tomorrow, all right? C, easy to prepare. If you are new to canning, this may seem difficult because you're learning a new skill, right? But once you kind of overcome that hurdle of learning this, it's really super easy. This is not a complicated dish. It just takes some time to cut everything up, especially the acorn squash, because these little guys are kind of hard and it does take some time to cut them up. I know I have a little blister on my hand from cutting them up. Anyway, so that's a little bit of, that might take some time. But overall, I don't think it's too bad, but I think I would say, I'll give it a 3. I'll be fair on that one. So I know that pressure canning can be kind of scary, but I wanted to say that once you learn this skill, it opens up so many doors. It gives you so much freedom and so much flexibility. Now I am more of a meal in a jar canner, or I make a lot of ready to go sauces. I'm not as much of an ingredient canner. And so I just love the flexibility of being able to put whatever I want in the jar, my flavors, all the things that I know my family will love. And it's just been so much fun. I can be really creative with this. And I've learned how to can all of my favorites safely. So there are a bunch of people I have watched and I have learned how to can from on YouTube. So I will link some of my favorite YouTube canners down below, and please check them out, that you can learn a lot from them too. All right, let's get started. As I mentioned, I'm going to be using a recipe out of the all-new Bald Book of canning and preserving on page 284, the Thai coconut squash soup. I am adding chicken to this recipe, and I'm actually doubling it because this recipe only makes 3 quarts or 6 pints, and I want to maximize my pressure canner. So if I'm going to be using this, I want to make sure I have a full canner load. This guy holds 7 quarts, so I'm going to be targeting that today. So I have my large soup pot right here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So in this I have 4 quarts of chicken broth, and I'm just using the chicken bouillon powder. So I have 4 quarts in there. So I'm just waiting for this to come to a boil. Okay, so now that the chicken broth is boiling, I'm gonna add, let's see, the ground red pepper, garlic cloves. Well, that's fun. I'm getting crazy with the garlic. Let's see, then it is the fresh Thai chilies. Now I did leave some of the seeds in here. So did say to seed them. So this might be more Thai spicy, which my husband David will like. Is that, and then the lemongrass stalks. Now, I have never cooked with lemongrass before. So this is actually 4 stalks. I'm adding a little extra because I wanted extra flavor, but also because that's how it came in the package and I don't want it to go to waste. So stir that around, reduce this to a simmer, reduce heat and simmer for 20 minutes. Okay, so this has been simmering, woohoo, for 20 minutes. Let's remove the lemongrass. It smells so, so good. I'm just gonna use some tongs. Well, it's all kind of floating to the top. There. I want to make sure I get it all too because it's pretty tough to eat. So definitely don't want that. I tell you what, this smells so, so good. Okay. All right. Now the next step is for me to add the squash and the rest of the ingredients and the chicken. So hoping I have enough room in this pot. All right, see if I can do this without splashing everywhere. Add the chicken. It's easy because everything is measured out. It's one advantage of canning is you kind of do all that at the same time. Oh, does this look beautiful? Shallots. Ginger. Get a spoon. Lime zest. Lime juice. and sugar. I'm actually skipping adding the salt because I've noticed that instant bouillon powder is so salty, so I don't want to add extra sodium to that. Okay, and I'm looking at this pot is great because it has the measurements on the side, and we are at 7 quarts, so that worked out really, really well. This should be a really, really hearty soup. Maybe more like a stoop, right? Okay, so that's all in there, and it says to return to boil, reduce heat, and simmer uncovered for 5 minutes. Oops, let me turn up the temperature a little bit and let that just be. And while that's doing its thing, I'm gonna get my jars, which have been heating up in the canner. I'm gonna get those emptied from water and get those lined up here and ready to go, ready to get filled. I think I'm gonna cover this so it heats up faster. Just gonna use this towel to kind of guide it across the kitchen so I'm not dripping everywhere. This is really hot. All right, now we're ready to start jarring this up. Oh, it smells so good. And because this is a soup, we want to make sure we have half liquids, half solids. So I'm going to go around and fill all the solids first to make sure it's evenly distributed. I am using chicken broth, but you could make this completely vegan by using vegetable broth. I absolutely love having meals in a jar on my pantry shelf. It makes me feel like I have my very own personal grocery store at my house. I want to make sure each of the jar has about halfway filled with the solids, and the rest of this is going to be the broth. And if I happen to run out of broth, I can always make some more just regular chicken broth. And heat it up real quick. All right. I still have some solids in the pan, but I'm not too worried about it. It's mostly just broth. Fill it to a 1-inch headspace, but I do have to debubble and I may have to add in some more. All right, let me show you how quickly this meal comes together tonight. I used acorn squash from my garden because I had a lot of it, but you can use any orange-fleshed winter squash. In fact, you could buy frozen cubed butternut squash if you can't find squash in the produce section. And it would also save you a lot of time in the preparation. Okay, so that was extra coconut milk. I think I was only supposed to do a cup, and that was 13.66 fluid ounces. So a little bit extra. That's okay. So this is super creamy, but I also don't want to waste a can. All right, while that's heating up, I'm gonna go ahead and get everything else ready, the cilantro, the lime, and the red onion. Now, if you don't like cilantro, you could always use fresh basil. Or if you had Thai basil, that would be really good too. Oops. Kind of going everywhere. All right, so I just tasted it. It tastes really good, but because I used a whole can of coconut milk, it's very coconut milky. So I'm just gonna add another jar. Perfect. Okay, that looks better. So my soup is a little bit darker than what they show in the picture, but I kind of wonder if they took that picture before they canned it. Or they used butternut squash, which is a little bit more yellow. And also I added chicken, so it's gonna be a little bit more brown. All right, so let's get this heated up. Supposed to bring it to a boil over high heat. So let's do that. Let me turn up my temperature. Okay, while that's going, let's finish chopping up all of the toppings. Okay, all right, now that it's been heated through, oh my gosh, it smells and tastes so good. I have some rice in my Instant Pot, just some jasmine rice. Now you could definitely just have this as soup. I'm going to make this more of a hearty meal and I'm serving it over rice. You could also serve it over pasta. Oh wow, that looks so good. Doesn't it look so pretty? All right, let's add some red onion. And then some cilantro. Break that up a little bit. And some fresh lime juice. Just gonna go ahead and throw that in. Doesn't that look amazing? All right, let's give it a taste with everything in there. Oh my gosh, it's really hot. I'm gonna try it with some of the squash. Oh my goodness, this is so good. It has just the lovely heat coming through from the Thai chilies. The coconut milk makes it so creamy and sweet. Oh, and then the lime juice. Boy, this ticks all of the boxes. I really, really do hope you try it. And if you do, please let me know in the comments below how you liked it. How many spoons would you rate it? And if you tried any of the variations I recommended, I would really love to hear about that. And while you're there, why don't you go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. And if you know anyone who enjoys real food, please pass this video along to them. And until next time, everyone, take care.